All right, there we go. And Dean Burke, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Let me know if Luna gets too loud with her, annoying with her barking, and I'll try to get her inside. But she's enjoying running around guarding my backyard. So anyhow, I'm always delighted to be invited to come and speak with you. And I heard Bradley mention maybe an update of what's going on at the university. First and foremost, I'm really proud of our students and staff and faculty because we haven't been sent home like so many other universities. And from the day we opened, I noticed that all of you students were participating very well in the mask up campaign. So I only heard of one incident from the very first day of classes. And after that, I didn't hear of any other incidents. So bravo. I believe if you're a teaching assistant, you got a message from me through me from Julia Jackson Newsom, our COVID czar, that we were starting to see a very small spike from group work and labs, and we just want everybody to be extra careful during this last week of face-to-face instruction. I would also normally invite people to my house for Thanksgiving who didn't have a place to go, but I can't do that this year. And it's really frustrating to try to find a small turkey. They're all gone. But fortunately, my husband's death row last meal is homemade turkey soup, so I won't have a problem with that. Let's see. So you've probably heard the news about some of the staff and faculty cuts that are happening as part of our 2.5% budget cut. So some of these cuts are permanent cuts, and some are 1 year. So most of the part-time faculty that we can't hire for next semester is because it's part of the 2.5% give back to the state, but there's nothing stopping them from being hired again in the future because we'll start with the same budget next year. So that's all dependent on not having any further cuts. So I don't know where, I'm in so many meetings. I don't know where it was said, but somebody said they have discovered that the state itself has much more in its reserves than they expected to have due to COVID and everything. So it may, we'll see where that goes, because I think the expenses to our healthcare system are going to be pretty dreadful these next couple months. And whatever you do, stay safe. Stay safe. One of my staff workers is out with COVID, and she works every day in my office, but fortunately our contact has just been walking by each other. So we're not required to get tested or anything. There goes Greg's mask. He's the only one in the office right now, so he feels safe, but whenever I go see him, he's wearing 2 masks. So, yep. And so I'm hopeful that these are going to be just 1 year, what we're calling budget reversions, and not full vertical cuts where we start with less last year. The next several months are going to be telling on, again, what we might expect next year. So my crystal ball is just saying sit and wait and don't try to predict anything. Just so you know, where I took cuts was in my operating reserves. Not reserves, it's stuff I normally would spend, but no, nobody's traveling, nobody's going to conferences. So anything I had for professional development, and I believe in professional development for my staff, went towards my cut. So I preserved all tuition waiver money, all summer assistantship money, and all health insurance money for graduate students. So, and that's for next year's recruiting class. So that's all cool. And for anyone who's coming back next year. So, yeah, I myself have finally come to the conclusion that I'm not immune from the Zoom and COVID exhaustion. This weekend, I just completely shut down. I actually sewed a bunch of masks. I have a new design if you want one. And especially for people with the glasses. fits really nicely without a wire. And I did television like binge, and I did walk to the grocery store to buy stuff to make turkey soup with all things. Anyhow, I am finding myself, it's a little more difficult to concentrate, and within a day I'll be really happy, and then all of a sudden just like, whoa, where am I, kind of thing. And so I totally get it. I totally get it, especially if you're both a teaching assistant and a student, because you're getting hit from both sides. I'm trying to think what else is going on.
Dean Burke, would you mind giving us a little bit of an update what next semester will look like? Just anything that you know as of now?
Well, we're planning on opening in the same way we did in the fall. And we're trying to keep the same complement of courses that are face-to-face, hybrid, and online. We're encouraging more people, because of the success we had this semester, to encourage more faculty to think about coming in for hybrid or face-to-face. So, you know, people's safety and comfort is got to be the most important thing. You know, we moved our start date back so that any of the holiday kind of cold weather things that can impact the spread of the virus should be behind us, and we should be coming out of it, because we know spring happens sometimes in January here, and then we get snow in March. But all plans look to be the same. They are telling the students living in the dorms, they're not telling them to move completely out, but they're telling them to take home things that they couldn't succeed in next semester, just in case they can't come back to campus. You know, because a lot of people that everybody who let their students go, you know, pivot is the right word for that. The students didn't have time to move out of the dorms, so then they had to schedule all these safety events to have people come in staggered ways to get their stuff out of the dorms. So the more you could just keep on doing what you're doing in terms of, you know, wash, wear, and whatever the third W is, wander. I don't know. That's what it feels like. Again, I did not think we were gonna make it through the first 2 weeks, and I'm so excited. So the G has grit. So questions?
Hi, Dean Burke. I have a quick question regarding kind of what you just talked about, and maybe just a clarification question. So you said that next semester will look very similar to how we started this semester. So that's including all labs, or are they taking more precaution in kind of making labs revert to online only?
No. I will say, you know, my Minerva's mailbox has received more than one complaint about the faculty and grad students not being careful with PPE. And we have had we haven't had clusters, but we've had some rise in COVID incidences in faculty and students who are in lab situations. And it's not because they're not being cleaned, it's because they're too close and they're not wearing the PPE. And there's a couple people that when I'm in a meeting with them, I mean, Greg and I used to meet, I don't know, 10 feet apart across the conference room and unmasked, but we kept our masks on at our last meeting, same 10 feet apart. I very rarely will meet with people without my mask now. So, yeah, so, you know, for research, you know, I want to differentiate your graduate research in the labs or the undergraduate lab experience. It's the graduate research that I'm talking about and the faculty research. Those labs staying open as long as safety is being taken care of. And I floated one message circuitously to a specific lab, but I'm getting reports out of more than just one lab. So whatever you all can do to enforce the safety protocols, if a faculty member is not wearing their mask, you are in your rights to ask them to do it or leave. And if that doesn't happen, you call me. And by the way, if you push the button on Minerva's mailbox, it automatically sends me an email So if you want to get my attention, I'm usually on email all the time. So I would look at that.
Dr. Burke.
Yes? Go ahead. Somebody is trying to talk but are muted.
I heard.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry. My internet is not really stable. So talking about budget cuts, I know it's not really well now, but I heard from other universities that some of them taking actions again, waiving graduate student fees, and then maybe also decreasing the cost of student health insurance for graduate assistants. So I wonder if UNCG Graduate School has any plan on waiving graduate school fees, graduate student fees, or decreasing the health insurance cost for graduate students.
So I have no control over the cost of health insurance, and it has been rising steadily. Last year, because we had more people eligible because we lowered the threshold to 1 credit, we had more students enrolled, which lowered the premium by like $2 a student. But so what happens with health insurance is once the state sets what the premium is, then I get the list of graduate students who have met the threshold of being on full tuition support and a particular master's level or doctoral level stipend. We then take that money and just divide it. And we're a little conservative in the first term, but in the second term, if you were here last year, many of you got your entire health insurance paid for, retroactively, of course, but that meant you got a refund check. So we are going to spend the amount of money that I have in my budget for health insurance on you students who are eligible. So therefore the amount we can contribute to your premium, I can never tell you in advance. It's just, I wish I had a different way. I was very strong in that I was not willing to support any raise in tuition or fees for graduate students. So the only thing that's changing in fees is the health service fee. And the money from that fee is to be used to hire more mental health counselors because we desperately need them. And that's the only fee that's being raised. Everybody wanted to raise their fees because that's a way of getting like athletics. Athletics cut. They took voluntary pay cuts and they let some people go. They were the first ones. I'd have to like stop and get her in the house. So, Luna! The neighbor dog came out. Anyhow, they're best friends when they're not in each other's backyards. So we put in our request to the system already saying no to tuition increases and just this one fee. Now, tell me, you guys know your bills more than I do. I'm pretty sure you're not billed for the health center fee until you hit 9 credits, or maybe it's even 10. Merv?
So Dr. Burke, I think we still do, because it really depends on not really the amount of the credit, but even if we take like 3 credits, it's because sometimes for international students, since we are not considered full-time student if we don't take 9 credits, and then sometimes we don't pay it. But anyway, we have to take 9 credits to be considered full-time student.
Yeah, and that's a visa thing we can't violate.
Yes. But I was just thinking, like now, especially many of our classes turned online. So still I'm paying, most of us paying transportation fee. And then even if I didn't use even one time the student health center, still I'm paying for it. And then, so I was just thinking maybe it's just, if our classes turn online, we shouldn't be charged
with the same fees that we were using the services when we are in the
Yeah.
campus.
Understood. There was a lot of chatter about that last semester, and I'm pretty sure people got prorated housing returns and their meal plan returns. I'm not certain about any of the other fees. So the reason there are student fees is because our tuition doesn't cover the cost of running the university. So one of the things they're talking about at system level is doing away with the whole notion of fees and just setting tuition at the cost that it needs to be. So I'm attracted to that idea because I will advocate for more money because I'm allowed to cover tuition costs. I'm not allowed to cover fees. So, I mean, they'd have to, for me, if they did that, they'd have to like double the amount of tuition money that they give me. So that's a little ways off, but university fees are set the way health insurance premiums are. Health insurance companies stay in business because they have so many people that don't ever use the service because it's an insurance plan, and that covers all the people that are desperately ill and do need the help. So it is it's a kind of across the board tax situation. So as an international student, you are required to have health insurance, and your requirement for the student health center fee may be different. And I'll check on that for you. Is anyone else here a non-international student who's taking fewer than 9 credits? Parth, is that you? Bradley, did you raise your hand?
I'm an international student.
Okay. Bradley, how many credits are you taking?
I've got 7 this semester.
So are you charged the health service fee?
I believe so. I'd have to go back into Genie and look and double check, but I'm pretty sure I was.
Okay. See, I don't know if the threshold is 6 or 9. All I know is that in our orientation, when we were able to have it, I would talk to students because grad students aren't required to pay it up to a certain number of credits. However, but you have to then pay for a service if you need to use the health center, which Merv, I think might be more attractive. If you have a chronic condition or prescriptions, anything that you need to regularly go to the health center, it's cost effective to actually pay the fee. So we message that to students, but I know that they're not required up to a certain threshold. I just don't know what it is. Part of the proposal was also to start charging the health center fee to all graduate students, starting with 0 credits all the way up. And I did the math and I said, you cannot do both. You can either keep the fee the way it is and scale it all the way back to 1, or you can just raise the fee for those students that are using it or required to use it. I said, but if you do both, here's the amount of disproportionate money that graduate students are going to have to pay compared to undergrads. And they bought my argument.
Thank you for always advocating for us, Dean Burke. We don't have a lot of time left, so I just want to make sure other questions get addressed too. I have one that I would like to bring up. If you could let us know a little bit of what the graduate school is doing to support students over this extremely long break, this abnormally long break. I know a lot of us are stuck in town for a while, international students especially, so there's some resources that are going on in the grad school.
So NAGLA has a meeting with IPC sometime this week or next week. Nobody had reached out to IPC about issues, and I don't know enough of what they are. International Program Center, okay? Megan. And they weren't aware that there were some issues with our international students over the long break. And I didn't know enough to tell. I had a meeting with the director of it today. So their meeting's very soon, and I will find out more about that right now. As for graduate students, there's a couple things that I want you to do is get involved in the writing groups that Laura Drew runs. If any of you have done her writing groups, she is going to be your best cheerleader ever. you need a pick-me-up, you just get on one of Laura's groups. There's also the National Center for, Greg, help me out here, Diversity and Success, College Teaching Success. Anyhow, it's a great website. And it's free. I'll send the link out, have Greg send it to the GSA. But there's like Motivational Mondays chats that you can join. There are writing challenges. There's all sorts of resources. So I think just the more you keep yourself focused on your work and think about it as uninterrupted time for your work, at least for me, it's the thinking space. Like I had 2 hours today and I was able to, I'd been struggling with just how a lever would create something else. And it just popped while I had some time to think today. And Greg knows that you have to do this sometime just to make a breakthrough. Sit and scratch your chin. And for those of you that have beards. But Nago's here, I was just bragging on you. So Greg just posted that link in chat. The university has subscribed to this on the behalf of all faculty and graduate students. So it's a wonderful resource. The only thing grad students can't do is go to the like 3-day-long training events, which I don't even know if are happening, because we have to pay extra. And they said that they wanted that just for faculty to get like tenure line faculty started off right, that kind of stuff. Nago, what happened in your meeting with the chancellor?
It's always good seeing you, Dean Burke. The chancellor apologized for not being in the meeting. He has some emergency.
Okay.
Too, and Dr. Akins is sitting with us, talking about updates.
Okay.
I didn't want to miss the chance of saying hi and thank you for your support.
Yeah. Lexi and the rest of you, if you have ideas for us in the graduate school of ways that we think we can help you, let us know and we'll do everything we can. I mean, some of it is other than more money, which I give out as much as I can. I don't really know what would help. You know, we knew food insecurity was an issue and we did some work on that. There are boxes to collect food all over the campus. The problem is a lot of you don't come to campus. So again, let Greg and I know things that you think might help, but right off the bat, I'll ask Laura to schedule some more writing camps, maybe just shorter 3-day events, you know, Tuesday through Thursday kind of thing. And they're more like accountability groups, so.
Yeah, I was going to ask we just heard the writing events are also doing like a social hour where they have guests invite come. So we may look at doing a GSA collaborating type of event with you all. Yeah. So more a social event type of thing throughout December.
Yeah, they're I didn't hear about the social part, but which is fine. I mean, Laura invites somebody, inspirational speaker in for every session. And it's a good way for you to get to know how wonderful the faculty is across this campus. I mean, I'm doing one of them. Don't necessarily know how inspirational it'll be, but it'll be fun. And I've actually had a couple people report back on our writing camps that this is what they thought all of doctoral education was going to be like, with groups of students working through problems together, not necessarily on the same topics or anything, but I think it's really great that you see that people in other cohorts and other fields have the same issues and the same struggles. Anyhow, Laura's doing a great job. The only thing she can't do is bring you coffee.
Dean Burke, could I ask a question, please?
Sure.
First of all, yeah, the writing camps are fabulous. I've started doing the writing camps since March, and I have to say it's been my lifeline throughout the whole of these few months. It's just been very, very, very good. But what will stop UNCG opening in January? Is it a directive from Governor Cooper, or is there anything else that would stop?
Well, Governor Cooper is a a non-starter. If he closes us down, we're down. There's a threshold of, and I don't know the exact number, but when you run out of quarantine spaces for your residential students, that's a tipping point for making some change to the number of people on campus. So I don't know that we have a, we hit this number and we shut the campus down. I think it would be more of a phased, we've got to create some more, because you can't send a student home if they're in quarantine. That's just wrong. And we've been good. We've, 3 clusters on a campus. Like that's what shut NC State down, was 3 different clusters in a dorm and 2 frat parties. Chapel Hills was clusters. The closest thing we came to a cluster was our women's basketball team. And, they were kind of in their own bubble. So that's really all I can say right now, Maurice.
Okay, that's fine. It's just that, yeah, a lot of the international students are trying to decide whether to go home or not. And there's
I understand.
To consider.
Yeah.
I felt that it was the only thing that would, 2 things that would stop us would be Governor Cooper saying everybody has to shut down, and then the president between now and January 20th making some sort of which I don't think he would.
I can't imagine what you international students think of us right now. This is the weirdest time I've ever experienced.
It is for everybody, but I think we have felt very supported by IPC and by the graduate school and the graduate association. It's just, yes, some things are just difficult to navigate.
Well, I would check. The couple things to look at is, what is the COVID count where you're going, and is it safe for you to go home? Is it safe for you to fly? The bigger concern is, will you be able to get back in the country if COVID is getting worse here?
That's the biggest concern for everybody, is whether they will be able to return, and also just the visa issues because of what happened in March.
I know.
Students are very afraid of something happening with their visas.
Well, the backlash against what Trump tried the last time of international students have to go home if there are no classes was so strong across the country. I don't think he'll try that again, or he'll get the same backlash. I will give you this one caution. If you go home and you can't get back, we cannot fund you. We can't pay your assistantship. We can't pay your tuition. It's actually the international tax laws that are the problem. Every country is different, and there's huge liabilities on the campus to get in big trouble if we're paying you when you're not in the States. Technically, if you're out of North Carolina. But
Dr. Burke, could you please clarify that? Because I think I wasn't aware of it. And do we need to, even if all of our classes online,
yes,
do we need to be physically here to get GA assistantship?
Yes. And I even asked, I said, but they're doing direct deposit to their bank in North Carolina. And there's no willingness by general counsel on any of the North Carolina campuses. I've been pushing this a lot. Because the risk of finding out that you're in a different country and receiving pay for doing work in the US is a violation of agreements between the 2 countries in terms of trade. And it's at that level.
But Dr. Burke, I know some faculty in my department, even if currently they are not located in the United States, still they are getting paid, still they are teaching.
Ooh, don't tell me who.
So because it's always, now I was kind of a little bit shocked, because if I'm student, if I go, I'm not gonna get paid, but faculty go back to their country and then still they get paid.
Okay, I won't, I will look into this. That's a serious problem for the university. Again, the mechanism of doing it, I don't understand. because you're getting your paycheck in your bank and you're withdrawing your funds. But I was told explicitly that no one could receive financial support from state funds. Now, maybe they're research funds, but from the state funds, they can't receive any remuneration if they're not in the country. Okay, I'll do some work.
Okay, Dr. Burke, just one more question. I'm also graduate assistant, and you said even when we go to a different state, we won't be paid. So we have to be physically in North Carolina?
We do let students go out of state. We have faculty who are out of state.
Okay.
System is talking about requiring because the more and more remote we go, nobody cares where you live, which I always thought was the case. But each state has their own different tax laws, and what we're doing in education with remote teaching is ahead of where anybody's thought about how to really make it work. But don't tell me where you live. That's all I need to know right now.
Okay.
Dean Burke, do you have time for one more question?
I could say, yeah, but I want to get in the way of your happy hour.
Yeah, we're just going over your time a little bit, but Mandy had our last question for you.
Okay, hi Mandy.
Dr. Burke. I had a concern brought up from a couple of the first year graduate assistants in my cohort, and second years actually, about communication for contracts for payment for the assistantship. Last year, we were paid at the end of August up until the end of May. And then this year, we weren't paid until the end of September. And so a lot of students were expecting that August paycheck. And so they had to take out emergency funding. And we're just wondering if there's somebody that we need to be on a contact list for, or.
Yeah. We have a new controller now. Do you all know what a controller is?
I do not.
The person who says what we can and can't do with our money. I will make it my mission that you get paychecks at the end of August through the end of May. It's the same amount. You'll just get a smaller amount each month. But I have told the faculty so many times that our students cannot make it till the end of September without a paycheck.
Right.
And they had the ability to set your contracts from August 1, because last year I said, look, the rule is they can't start their pay period until they actually start work. And I said, but Greg and I send them a lot of work to do starting August 1.
Yeah, most of us are teaching classes. So we're preparing our syllabi and our classes and online stuff.
When I spoke with the very conservative controller last year, I said, well, this is the work I'm having them do. And he says, yeah, that'll work. And I just, with everything going on, I just didn't realize people didn't remember.
Right.
So that's on my list. Plus, we are much further along in our automation process. So you should be getting your contracts for next year way earlier, like as early as March. And if you see that you're not getting, your pay period is not starting on August 1, then you contact me.
So we're supposed to be receiving contracts each year, and that's what's communicating when our payments are supposed to be scheduled.
Yes. And
is that coming from our department or from the graduate school?
The official contracts come from the graduate school, but we can only turn them around as fast as the departments get them into us. And okay. We are very close to now having it so, I mean, we've been in a pencil and paper situation. Mm-hmm. So your department admin is supposed to get us all information no later than June 1st. Mm-hmm. But my one person has to get thousands of people into the system. And it'll be so much better next year. But yes, okay. If you're a second year student, you probably didn't get your contract until August because of this lack of automation. I'll try to put an automatic check. Maybe we can just put the start date, we can have various start dates of the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month and no variation beyond that. But UNCG has been in a conservative, and I don't mean politically, just very hesitant to do anything differently than it has for the 30 years I've been here. So, but we're getting there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, those of you that have worked with me know that if there's a policy that makes no sense to me, and most of ours don't, I'm like, oh, that made sense 20 years ago, but we're here now, you know? So those are the things I need you to bring to my attention. So now I have something that I know is a problem that I thought was fixed, so I've got to message more.
Thank you.
We had another important question come up for you, Dean Burke, so I'm gonna let Maurice ask that.
It was just about what buildings will be open and what will be closed over the holiday, because I heard today, and just heard today by accident, that the library is going to be closed from 12th of December to 10th of January, or 10th of December to 12th of January. I always get those numbers muddled up, which is a big blow, I have to say, for a lot of students, international students as well. So I was just wondering what other buildings won't be accessible during that time, because I don't think we've been told, or I've missed the email.
Well, that's the first I've heard about the library.
Yeah.
Even though classes are delayed by 1 week, we're back to work on the start of the semester, which is the 4th. And so I will find out why the library staff isn't going to open the library.
Yeah, I spoke to them because I was in there, and they said that the powers that be decided, and there were a lot of people that made the decision, and one of the librarians I spoke to said they felt that they were trying to discourage people from staying over the break and coming into campus. But she gave me the card of the person to ask. She said, ask Michael A. Crumpton.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
About it, because, and I mean, also, I just took a whole load of books out, and they're supposed to be back on the 12th of December, or 11th of December. I can't even keep them out over the holiday, which
just renew them online.
Can I butt in on that too? I'm sorry, Maurice, I actually just took out books yesterday from the library and asked the same question about whether or not they were going to be able to be renewed or kept over break. And they said they're easily kept over break, and they gave me an extension automatically. So my books aren't due until like the 5th of May. So you might just want to double check with them, because I just checked them out myself through like the automatic checkout, and it was like a huge extended deadline.
Yeah, I always thought that graduate teaching assistants and graduate students didn't have that 2-week thing. It was a whole semester. So I'll look into that as well.
Yeah, it was because you don't get it's only when I got back to the office that I checked the email, and then the email said that it was due in. Otherwise, I'd have checked it out, checked then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you check out a book, and if you are lucky enough to have a Carol, you check out that book and it just lives in your Carol until you're done with it. So.
Well, if the library's closed, I just can't go in to return them, is what I thought.
That works for me.
Yeah, you can renew your book if you are registered for the next semester. So that's what happened to me. If you are not registered for classes, you cannot renew. But if you are registered, you just hit the renew button and it just renews to the end of the next semester.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm on a task force on, and I've been working on from this vantage point for a long time, but this task force is all about the business of being a student and what is the student experience in that, because it drives me crazy when we build things that are focused on the staff person running it and not the service to the student. So you should be seeing a huge change in the registrar's office over the next year and other student-facing services about students first. And, you know, we've got to make more seamless experiences for you. So just FYI, that's another way I'm advocating for you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I think we've had all of our questions answered. Dean Burke, if anyone has anything else, can they just drop you an email?
Yeah, use Minerva's mailbox.
So yes, if you have any other questions, anything that comes up between now and the end of the semester, anything over break, just go to the graduate school webpage home screen, and just under that main rolling ticker with the pictures, you'll see Minerva's mailbox, and you can drop anything off in there.
And again, it can be anonymous, or you can identify yourself and I follow up.
So Dean Burke, thank you so much for dropping by to talk with us today. Lexi just put Minerva's mailbox in the chat. And if everyone wants to stay and be entered to win a book, then we will be doing that and hanging out for the next 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
Bye,
Let me ask you,
Thank
let me ask all one question though. Do you know of the Pomodori method of writing? Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about in the writing groups. And I have like 15 tomato timers. If anyone wants a tomato timer, you let me know. I know, they're cute. So after you learn about the Pomodori method, then we will get some tomato timers. They're really little red tomatoes. They're cute. Anyhow, bye everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right. So now that we are here, Lexi's going to go ahead and get our giveaway rolling.
Bye, Dr. Bell.
Dr. Bell, you heading out?
Yeah, you guys can talk about me. I'm gone. I don't have to be here for that. All right.
Have a good night.
You too.
So,
can I say something? It's just got my attention because I have a background in other universities for my several degrees. Like during the most stressful time of the semesters, library closing early. And then the one thing is they closing the gym too. Like, so we need to exercise more. We need to do more physical activity, and then they're closing it early, opening it late. Like, doesn't make sense. So
No,
I'm happy, guys. You like pointed that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We were actually just talking about this earlier today. The kind of the point that Dr. Bell had is all of those facilities are ran a lot by students. So it's very hard when like undergraduates especially are not here and they're leaving. But I definitely understand, especially for international students, having a place with Wi-Fi that they can go, that's very important. So we're working on that. We're starting that conversation. And if you have any ideas, please let us know.
And the irony is that when the semester goes on, we have no time to, reading for pleasure or exercising. And now we are stuck. We can't go home because embassies are closed, or the cases are raising back home. And it's, as Dr. Burke was saying, that not safe for us to be there. So we have to stay here, but there is nothing to do. And it is summer. I mean, if it would be the summer, of course, we would just go out and exercise outside. But in winter time, like I really was hoping that the gym will be open, but it's not going to be open. So it's really challenging, especially for those who are international and don't have family around, just by ourselves. Yeah.
Is there like some way that we...
Sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just completely cut you off. I was just going to ask if there's any way that GSA can kind of, I don't want to say like maybe partner with like a local gym or something so that we could do some sort of, I don't want to say like discount or program, but that's what I'm doing with the other group that I work with. We're getting like mental health vouchers for grad students to do like virtual mental health for free over the summertime. So that would be kind of cool to see if we could partner up with like a local gym to say like, okay, grad students over the months of December and January can come into the gym. But it's also depending on whether or not Governor Cooper closes the gyms too. That's something that we might actually have to be dependent upon.
The WISE, you could try and ask the WISE because they give UNCG students a discount, but all the gyms are cutting back on their hours and the number of people that can be in them. So I don't think they're going to want more non-paying people. That's the only problem.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I was actually, as you were saying that, Meg, had the same thought. So even we'll definitely look into that, whether it be GSA or the graduate school or UNCG pays, but we could even find a way of like this many vouchers go to a local gym. So they would be paying because the gym is not going to accept free people, but we would pay for those students to have the voucher, or the graduate school would, or UNCG would. So love that idea. Keep them coming. But yeah, we'll take that and run it up the flagpole and see what we can do.
So I have a question. Like, just today I received the bill for the spring 2021, and it says the facilities fee. So what facilities actually are we using? I'm not sure.
Hey, Park. I think we talked about this a little bit when Dean Burke was on the call, I think before you joined. So maybe rewatch the recording for sure, just so you hear all of it. Yeah, I've also went through the nitty gritty of what the student fees didn't cover. I'm with all of you. Obviously, we're all graduate students. We pay for these things, but yeah, I don't know what exactly that is. I've asked the chancellor that same question, and basically his response was, it's more expensive for everything to be online, and it's more expensive to close everything than it is to actually have stuff open. So essentially, we lost a lot of money in the last semester when we were closed for a little while, that these fees are like essential for the university to run. And we have to keep in mind, yes, we are not using the buildings, so we don't think we want to pay for them. However, we use them during school, and there has to be upkeep when we're not using them. So that's not a great answer. And if you have a specific question, I would ask Dean Burke.
No, okay, yeah. Because at that time I was just like, I guess like 13 or 14 minutes late in the meeting. So that's why like I was just listening all of you, like what's going on.
And Lexi, Dr. Akins, the student affairs was explaining this in the other meeting before I came here. And I think we can share her explanation with our graduate students. Why? Because she had like an explanation very close to what you've mentioned, that the fees are covering so many different things, not only you or me using the buildings. But I will exactly take her words because a lot of undergraduate students ask the same question.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is like, I was reading about the athletics fee, and we pay for the D1 students. You know, we pay for those people who are on D1 scholarships. I was not happy about that, but you know, I just don't think we're going to get any of those fees reduced. I just don't think. I think that's a big battle, and I don't think we'll get them back. But yeah, it's worth a try.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. The thing is like, I'm surprised because I did my master's from UNCG. That time I was paying my whole tuition as an international student for all of my semesters. I was partly funded by my advisor for like 1 or 2 months during the COVID. That's it. So I kind of like, asking money from India, like I had loan and everything. So that's okay. But after being in a PhD, like I have to pay back my loans and everything. And also I'm staying by myself. So when it comes to it, like I'm surprised because we started our first check in September end, right? Before that, we had to pay the tuitions, like whatever after the reimbursement, but whatever the university fees, like some 1,000 or 2,000 USD, we had to pay before we get our check. Now, today again, we got the message like you have to repay it again, like after 2 months. So it's a bit difficult for me right now, like, but it's okay. I'm not complaining because I know that's a rule is a rule. We have to follow it. Like if, I don't know, I should have talked to like Dr. Burke about it, Dean Burke about it.
And I don't know if there's something that we can do about the payment plans. So because if you sign up for a payment plan, you have to start paying really early. So if you don't have a payment plan, you can wait until, you know, a week into semester to start paying your fees. But if you have a payment plan, you have to start paying like now for the next semester.
If you like have a payment plan to set up it, you have to pay it again to set up that plan.
Yeah, you do. And it's, you know, if you haven't got that money, it's worth doing it. But like, if you want to have the 5 payments, I mean, they have to start, you know, like the month before or something, which is really difficult if you're not getting your checks and things. So I don't know if somebody can ask if they have that payment plan, if it can be delayed a little, if it doesn't start so early. That would help.
No, right now, like I'm on a scholarship. So thank God for that. Like I have the scholarship right now, but it's like, I feel like it's too early because I pay back to the loans in India, whatever the amount I had, and I'm left with little bit, but it's okay. I have got like due date is December 16. Somehow I will manage it.
Yeah, but the rest of us still have that same problem. You know, there's a lot of other people that still have that issue.
Yeah, Maurice, thank you for bringing that up. I did not realize you had to start paying the month before when you set up though. So that was a really good comment. There's so much red tape to go through for all of these little things, but I think that is a great, like even if we could just push it back, like once we get paid, the month after is when the first due date should be. So I really like that.
And especially for spring semester, because, we're not starting till later now. So, they're not going to change the payment plan date, I'm sure, because of that, but they really should think about that.
One other thing I was going to say about student fees, we have been ranked against many other universities on like how much our student fees are. And we're actually very comparable, actually closer to this bottom end of what universities are paying for student fees. So I know it's super frustrating, but looking at other universities that are paying a lot more and having their students paying a lot more, this is something every university is dealing with. So I'm not saying we shouldn't have that conversation. We absolutely should, and we should figure out if we can get any of them removed. But just keep that in mind. Is there any other comments on that before I jump into the book conversation?
I was wondering, for the thing about the gyms before, did Kaplan just say they're gonna be closed for the break? Because looking at their hours, they're open during the break, except for like 1 week in November and 1 week in, I think, January or December. So they are open.
I am not positive about that. It was just somebody on the call said that the Kaplan Center was going to be closing. So thank you for looking up the hours, but hopefully they are staying open.
They posted signage inside the Kaplan Center itself. Those were for like mostly for their classes though. So I don't know if like the actual physical gym hours are the same, but I know like all like their like typical winter hour classes were not being held over break. Like the psych or spinning classes and yoga and things like that.
Yeah, I think those were kind of the first to go last time when they started shutting things down too. So I just want to congratulate all of you because you just won a free book. I'm sending you the list right now over chat. So what the plan is at these Come Talk with GSA events, we're going to be giving out free mental health resources, and that will be per the recommendation of whoever the guest was that we invited. So this time we asked our beloved guest last time, Dr. Aisha Boyce, what she would recommend, and she sent us that list of 10 books that are recommended for graduate student mental health. So there's only 8 people on this call, so you have all won a book. But every time we're going to be doing this, and we'll be giving 10 away. So hopefully we'll have more and more people come as this event grows and people are more aware of it. But yeah, so I'm going to email all of you. I'm going to have all of your print off the list of emails. I'll email all of you the list again. You can go ahead and choose which book that you will want. As soon as you choose, we will order it for you, and then we'll have you come pick that up from the GSA office, or if we need to, we can probably work out some type of shipping. So go ahead and look through that. Let us know which one you would like.
Yeah, and Lexi, I have one more thing. Like Dean Burke talk about the fees that the health service fee or something, like they need to hire more people for the mental health or something, right? I don't know, like I was about to suggest, but I think like whether it's a good or not, that's why I'm talking to you in front, because it's easier than talking with her. I don't know. I don't have much experience talking with her. That's why maybe. So like, so we are graduate students and we also go through a lot of frustrations, a lot of stuff, right? But sometimes we take care of ourselves. I guess I'm taking care of myself by myself. I don't consult anything. So how about like some of us or few of us who got interested to help those students for the mental health? Like if we can propose that to Dean.
Repeat exactly what you're asking, Parth. I'm sorry, I think I misheard you.
No, so the thing is like she's asking the to bring more mental health people on campus, right? For they recruit them to give them job, and that's why we paying the fees for them, right? So like, what if like some of us, like the graduate students who has already dealt with it or who they want to help other people in their everyday routine or to listen to them. Like, so can we contribute to that?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for offering to do that. That was really nice. I think that that would be a perfect place for like the group meetings to have peers that can give advice and peers that can say like, oh, I am doing this. So there is plenty of those like group counseling meetings. I would definitely recommend you, anybody else that would like to help other students, to go to those type of meetings. That's a perfect place for that. But yeah, just to reiterate, in case anybody isn't aware, the fees are raising not by $62 for out-of-state students, and that is to fund the counseling center to get more actual counselors and licensed people that are working there. This has been a problem at UNCG for a couple of years. We do not have enough counselors. They've been trying very hard at the counseling center to get as many people as possible. And to be honest, those counselors are working ridiculous hours. So like, it's from my perspective, I think $62, of course, we don't want to raise our student fees. Of course, we don't want students to be paying more money. However, this is a huge service that is very well utilized at UNCG. So I personally, I'm not trying to put anything on you all, but I personally was very happy to hear that more counselors will be hired at the counseling center.
No, because I never use any counselors. So I don't know like what kind of service they provide. Or so, and actually like, I've never been in such situation so far. So maybe I'm not a, like, I would say I don't have much experience, so that I don't know. But yeah, maybe you are right, because you have like more years, I get at the UNCG.
Can I butt in and just maybe even give some perspective? So hi, Parth, it's good to see you. So I think for my own personal stake, I like love the counseling center so much. I've used like group therapy and individual therapy, and it's been really, really supportive in kind of my graduate livelihood, really. And something I will say is I think why I'm definitely all for these fees is that, or like the increase of fees, is that you can get an appointment with an individual counselor, but then you don't get to see them like every week. You have to see them every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, if not longer. And for a lot of students, that is not a feasible health outcome for them, depending on what their needs needs to be met. So I think it's going to be a really good resource, even if you don't decide to use those services, for your peers and other fellow grad students to kind of have that resource on hand. Because I, for one, am really thankful that we might have the option to see a counselor maybe once a week, if that's possible, and to help our undergrad friends too. So I'm really looking forward to kind of having more warriors on hand.
Okay, thank you.
Megan, can I ask you, when you go to the counselor, is it free or do you still have to pay something?
I do not pay anything. So specifically during the school year, you as a student who is registered for classes do not have to pay for anything, even as a graduate student. I highly suggest, if you can find a group that works for you, or if you have interest in group therapy at the counseling center, they're awesome because they meet every week, and usually they cap how many members can be within the groups. I love that because it keeps it really intimate and you can make close connections, which is great. So that's great. And if you cannot get within the UNCG counseling center, just off campus is the UNCG Psychology Clinic, which is also open to students. And I have used that for myself as well. It will take your insurance, but depending on what your copay is, they will work with you and lower that copay for you, depending on if you're a student and what you make monthly.
Great, thanks.
To add to that too, that normally in the summer time, none of us are like GAs in the summer, right? So we have to pay to go to the counseling center. However, last semester, Dean Burke and the counseling center worked with us and they waived all graduate student fees in the summer. So hopefully that is something that we can continue as they're open throughout the winter months and probably next summer, because COVID isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, hopefully we can get that fee waived again for graduate students. And for those of you that don't know Dean Burke, she is a great resource for all of us. She was the one that was like, if we can't get fees waived, I'll pay for them all. So she is an awesome woman. She's definitely here. So if you have any ideas for us or any ways that she can support graduate students better, let us know. We can bring that to her. Nagla meets with her regularly. So Please share.
The thing is, Leslie, so even if without they asking us, they cut this fees from our scholarships. So in my letter, it says like, oh, I have a really good amount of scholarship. And then even I'm without touching them, I am touching them, seeing them, they directly cut them from the fees from my scholarship. It's not fair because I just don't want to authorize them to cut anything from my scholarship directly. So what I'm gonna say, Dr. Burke, like Dr. Burke, like they cut my scholarship, what's going on? And then every time when they said that's not in our hand, it's just very heartbreaking. Like, who's in hand that? And then, you know, like, it's my scholarship. It's not my tuition coverage. And then you're cutting the fees without letting me know.
Yeah, that is very frustrating. Anytime that you have a positive balance in your account and something is negative that needs to be taken out, it does automatically do that. So you're correct, and that is frustrating. So yeah, I mean, if she isn't the person that can answer that, which I'm assuming right now she's not going to be the person that's in charge of the fees and registration office, she can give you the person's name that would be. So she's a very good person that like knows who's in charge of what. But yeah, a lot of that is going to be like general fee restrictions or rules that all universities have, but please still look into it and let us know. So everybody, we are at 5:36. We are 6 minutes past our time here. I just want to thank you all for coming, and you'll be hearing from me very soon. I'm going to send an email to all of you with that link again for you to choose whichever book that you'd like. You can just answer back to that email, and then we'll put that order in, and I'll keep you updated with when they're coming in and when you can pick it up and things like that. But it was so nice to see all of your faces.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Happy
guys.
Thanksgiving.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Y'all have a safe
Happy
holiday.
holidays.
Yes.
And thank you guys on the committee for all the work you do, because I know you spend an awful lot of time doing an awful lot of stuff for us. So just to say, yeah, we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. We appreciate you all coming to events like this. We need this downtime to talk with you all and hang out too.
Thank you all. Good evening.
Have a good night.
Bye.
I'm trying to leave.
I was going to say, hey.
All right. Okay, see you.
Bye, everybody. Hey, Nagla. How did your other meeting go? Good? You just had Dr. Akins?
Yeah, but I just shared what